Good morning, and thank you for joining Wind Down Wednesday today. I've decided that I am going to run an 8-part series to go through 8 things that law firms or lawyers need to consider before they launch or relaunch a law firm. And each week I'm going to highlight one of these key points, go into a bit of detail about them, and of course post this content. And then at the end of the series, I'm going to provide a document that gives an overview and more details about each of the areas that I cover along the 8-part series. So thank you for joining again. I am Antonia Berry, CEO of Impersonations Atlanta and the creator of the digital course called Strategy Academy that is geared towards lawyers and law firms that are either looking to launch a new law firm or perhaps they're looking to roll out something new in their existing law firm, whether that's a new practice or it's going to be expanding or whatever the case may be. So let's get deep into the content for today. The first thing that we're going to talk about is going to be financials and budgets. This, of course, is the first and most important thing because we need to, first of all, understand whether or not we have the financials to cover what is required to launch a new law firm, open a new practice, or whatever it is that we're now starting to do, right? Whatever this new initiative is. So we need to do a financial analysis to understand the position that we're in now as a firm and to determine whether or not as a firm you can afford to launch this new practice or new law firm or whatever this new venture or initiative is that you're trying to move into. So of course you're going to run an analysis to understand where you are financially now, but you're also going to look at what is it that you're going to need to start whatever it is that you're starting. And if you don't have it at hand, you need to come up with a plan on how you're going to get that. So let's talk about the things that you need to consider from a financial perspective. So the first thing that you need to determine is what is the actual cost going to be for you to start this new practice or new initiative, whatever it is that you're doing, right? Are you gonna need to get funds for a new license? Are you gonna need an office space? Or are you gonna need to hire personnel? What is it gonna cost, right? Once you know the cost, the true cost, and of course you're never going to be 100% right. So the advice that I give is to add a 20% cost potential increase onto what you've estimated, just for things that you perhaps might not have considered or expenses that might come up that you might not have accounted for. So it's very important that you be very realistic in getting actual numbers when you're doing your research, meaning that you look at office spaces, if that's what you're going to do, determine what that's going to cost. What are you going to need? You're going to need new computers? Are you going to need to hire someone? If so, you need to be able to get the capital that's required for you to do these things. Have it on hand or at least available to use through a line of credit or whatever you work out with your bank or your financial institution in order to make these funds available to you for the time period that you're needing them for. I like to say that you need to look at things for at least a year because it's going to take some time for you to turn a client or turn clients. Sometimes attorneys are able to land clients relatively quickly, but just to be on the safe side, look at a 1-year projection of what the costs are going to be, and then you plan accordingly like that. So whether you have the cash on hand 100% or you're going to go to a financial institution to get these funds available to you, and perhaps you'll be the personal guarantor on it. Either way, you need to have at least 1 year plus 20% of whatever that cost is in order for you to be safe and to feel secure that you're able to cover the expenses that you've estimated for. And just as a plus or an added bonus, and one thing that I have seen when attorneys go out and they want to start new law firms and they lowball and not give good estimates on cost, giving themselves a fair chance to survive, meaning that they lowball it, like I said, lowball what the potential cost would be for the year. Then they spend time they should have spent during the year trying to figure out finances when they're already in the mud. It's much smarter for you to figure that out beforehand so that you're not worrying about that, and you can actually move your focus and keep your focus on driving the business, drumming up business, looking for new business, pulling in new clients, and that type of stuff. So just a bit of advice that I would give is to not lowball, to be realistic with your figures. Make sure that you're going out to professionals that are able to quote you on these things if you can't find it on your own. Quote for, like I said, personnel, office space, utilities, whatever the case, whatever the expenses are going to be for you to be in that space and for you to operate for a year, right? So that's the first thing you need to be looking at. Then you need to determine what your revenue goal is going to be, because you need to do some analysis as well, some market analysis, to understand how many potential cases you could be able to secure. And that way you're able to say, okay, I know per case or the type of case I'm able to, for example, secure $25,000 on each case that I win. And that way you're able to extrapolate and forecast that out over the year to see what your potential revenue goal or return could be. And then from there you'll be able to see, can I make this work by deducting my expenses from this over the year of whatever the projected revenue is. Then look at, is this a profitable business if I work it this way? If it's going to be this way, is it going to be profitable? And from that exercise, that helps you to determine whether or not what you have in mind is looking realistic or not, right? So that's the second thing you need to consider when you're looking at the financial piece of things. Look at your revenue goal, establish what it is, be realistic about it. Don't lowball it, don't highball it, be very, very real. Do some research to see how many types of cases within your practice have closed, what the average amounts have been. And this is information that you can get from the court. You can get it from your state office where they record these things. But you need to find a source for this information so that you're able to find actual data that helps inform the decisions that you're about to make about launching or relaunching a law firm, new practice, or whatever the initiative is. And just on the back of that, I think that it's important to also note that you need to do financial projections month by month and actually put the stuff on paper. And that way you're able to see actual numbers in front of you of what the potential is for you to earn, what the goal is, right? Because I'm all about goals. What is the goal, and is it attainable? Can you attain? Can you get there? Can you move the needle to hit that goal? So just putting it on paper is very important. Going over the details, making sure you recheck them, making sure that they're real and realistic as possible. And like I say, adding the 20%. So make sure you consider, how many cases you can get and really close, because how much manpower it's going to take, and what the potential outcome and payout would be to your law firm for each one of them. Another thing in the financials piece to consider is cash flow, right? And what I mean by that and how that differs from all the things that we talked about before is that you need to have money coming in and out of your account every month. It can't just be that, you're waiting to get paid 6 months from now. You need to have continual cash flow in order for you to meet the financial obligations for which you have put in place, right? Whether it's rent or whatever the case is, it's good to have an ongoing cash flow going every month with money coming in and of course money going out, because every month you're going to have money going out because you're in a lease, you're renting a place, you have expenses, you have to pay your staff, you have to pay for software, membership, subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. So you need to be able to have cash flow. So make sure you account for how much cash flow is coming in, because that's also something that's going to show up and going to need to be looked at, reviewed, and considered on your financials that you're going to be creating. So make sure cash flow is something that's in your mind, and you're not thinking that you're going to wait a whole 6 months before you get a payment in. It has to be an ongoing, every month money flowing in, and not just waiting on buckets of money to come in 6 months from now. That is perhaps one of the quickest ways for you to go underwater, because you're going to be running around trying to figure out how you meet your obligations in the meantime. For example, example, month 1 to month 6, you're not getting any payments in. How are you going to pay for your rent? How are you going to pay for your staff? How are you going to pay yourself? How are you going to meet the obligations that you have signed yourself up for? So make sure cash flow and monthly cash flow is considered as something that's going to be happening. And then the other thing, which I've mentioned a little bit about this before, that you need to make sure is top of mind is, looking at your startup budget. What is it really going to cost you to get started? Looking at hardware, computers, printers, and office furniture, your office space. Of course, insurance. Make sure you have insurance. There's actually going to be a segment just on that, but make sure you have insurance from day one. You have to make sure that you are covered. The very thing that you're in the business to do can come back to bite you. Just because you're an attorney doesn't mean that you can't be sued, and it doesn't mean that you can't make personal losses. Make sure you have an insurance policy in place that covers your business, and there are going to be different types of insurance policies that you're going to need to consider as well. So, like I said, in a couple of weeks, you're going to see that come up here as a topic that we're going to cover as well. So make sure you review that. It's very important, one of the most important things, right? Also looking at staff. Are you going to hire somebody in-house, or are you going to outsource the task and duties that you need help for? You need to be thinking about what that's going to cost you. In addition to that, think about the benefits packages that you're going to offer, what that's going to cost you. Taxes and all that kind of stuff needs to be processed. And you might perhaps in the beginning want to outsource the dealing of payroll, because that can be quite complex, and you just don't want to mess that up. For a million reasons, you don't want to mess that up. So you might want to perhaps in the beginning outsource that for a small fee. And I actually have an affiliate that I work with. I work with ADP for that, and I also suggest that my attorneys use that, and I will provide information on that as well, just so that you have a point of contact and somebody you can reach out to for those types of services, right? Then the next thing to consider is utilities. What is your phone gonna cost? What software you use to do research, legalese, things like that. Other things that you use for billing, case management. What are those things gonna cost? Make sure you include them all, so that you have a true figure that you're working with, right? And then the last thing I want to mention here is a line item that you need to include is your practice software. That is the biggest piece. You need to be able to manage your practice. And again, I have another affiliate that I use for that I will include here as well, and you're able to sign on and get a discount through that. They do, of course, pay a percentage to people like myself who refer clients to them. So I'll be very, very happy and grateful if you use my link to reach out to them and to sign up for a practice software. So those are the things that I wanted to cover today for financials and budgets as it relates to starting a new practice. And that's going to be either starting a new practice area, or if it's going to be to start a different law firm, a whole new law firm. So just consider those things. Stay tuned, like I said, for the full list of things that I want law firms and lawyers to consider when opening a law firm. I'm going to be posting, like I said, at the end of the 8 weeks, a full page document with all the details for you to go through and to really analyze, and of course providing my contact details in the event that you have questions or want clarity on anything. Again, my name is Antonia Berry. I am the CEO of Impersonations Atlanta. Thank you for joining for Wind Down Wednesday.